Hey, what's up, y'all? Golly. I guess so, yeah. Man, all right. No, that's great. Interesting. This is where we're doing this. Oh, there you go. Man, no wonder this is where we're doing this. Do I look like a tourist or what? No, I'm from Utah. I feel like a tourist. I don't know. I feel like wearing a hat is just different for me. I used to wear hats all the time. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of InTheImageClothingCompany. This is our main side, one of our fourths, and what we do here under the main side of InTheImageClothingCompany is allow the human body to work. I'm just out here, like, speaking loudly in this canyon. This is awesome. Today's the 16th of November, 2025. I'm in St. George, Utah, the United States of America. We come at the human body through clothing because it's about the skeletal system's natural positioning. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. There's many rocks on this rock. I guess just one rock broke into a bunch of different ones. That's how it happened. And I've just happened to find myself in this situation where I'm going to film this video titled, Keeping Our Bodies Over Earth's Gravity. Staying over Earth's center of gravity. The importance of Earth's gravity, whatever we're going to title it. Yikes. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. Let's title it that. That sounds good. Really, truly, let's do that. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, because that's what we do, right? The human body has a center line. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body, not just the head, but there's musculature from the lower jawbone up to the crown of the head in different ways. There's musculature all across the sides of the head that plays into the jaw's function, and we put a lot of importance and focus on the jaw under In The Image Clothing Company's main side here, where we allow the body to work. But our body's center line has to mesh with Earth's center of gravity. So that's what I mean, but that's how we're titling this, how I said that we are, okay? Because what we do is really discuss the anatomy of the human body, and that's how we allow it to work, is just letting it. There's only a neutral to everything. Positions in the body, rotations in the body, okay? In all the ways. Let me show them to you real quick. Not all the ways, like, necessarily, but let me give some context. Okay, there's rotations to the body, and there's neutrals between those rotations. There's motion in all the joints, and there's neutrals between those motions that the body has, okay? So, all we can actually only ever do is allow the human body to work. There's no training that can happen to a mechanical machine with just functions that do what they do. It only has to stay working altogether, activated as a whole, or it will never work. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and we have no say. We're designed in the image of God, okay? In the image of Jesus Christ, in the Image Clothing Company. We put clothing on our bodies, though, and that's great. It's a commandment by God to stay modest. And also, it's just protective, okay? Our clothing protects us from things in life. And, well, our clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made from 100% natural materials. The goal is natural on all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company, and natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms with how the body works, okay? There's only one way it could. We just have to know how it does well enough to be intentional in a modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth, in a right-handed world where we get in this patterning with 85% of human beings, give or take at least, being right-handed. The right side of our body gets rotated externally more than the left, farther away from our bodies and lower. All the musculature connecting to the center line of the body gets pulled off on the right, okay? Because of that center line we have, well, musculature connects there. From the outside of the shoulder to the center in the front, where these buttons are on the button-up shirt that I'm wearing, on both sides evenly. The muscles contract to the center, okay? From the shoulder to the sternum. From the shoulder to the spine, evenly in the rear, the musculature connects and contracts and pulls together. The only thing that muscles could ever do is contract or get shorter. Stretch within clothing comes nowadays because only decades ago from today's date, unnatural materials were invented and clothing started to be made out of things that weren't 100% natural materials. There was always only ever natural until human beings came and started to conjure up things, truly, right? That's how it is. That's how it works. That's why the goal is natural. That's the only way things work. There was always God before there was anything else. He created us human beings, and we create things like products we put on our bodies. So stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. Okay, opposing muscles is how muscles can only shorten, but there's still two sides to a function. Like the elbow, the biceps shorten and work, while the triceps relax on the other side of the arm. And then the triceps can shorten and work, while the bicep relaxes on the other side of the arm. And then we've got two directions of a motion in the body, but the body only pulls. The human body only pulls. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, and that's just the case. The human body only ever pulls. Even in a motion that seems like a push, it's pulling motions extending a hinge. Okay, so we allow the body to work. Clothing just has to work for us, okay? We give a lot of free modifications in clothing. We'll always have good clothing. And we discuss where it needs to sit. So check that out so you know exactly where clothing has to sit. Because there's a universal human design, right? Designed in the image of God, there's only one way everything connects. Bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles all just working, activated as a whole. We can't drag around dead weight. Everything in the body has its own individual role to play. And no compensation can happen because then something would have to lessen the amount of work it's doing in its function to try to make up for something else, or, stop its function entirely, and that just can't happen. So, there's truly only one way that the human body could ever work. There's truly no physically possible way to train the body. There's just a neutral in everything, right? Keeping elbows at the natural waist. A video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Okay, a lot of things. We've got many hundreds of videos as of today's date alone, okay, under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company alone. And we do this. But this is the big thing. A lot of what happens in our lives in modern day, playing into this right-handed patterning, in the right-handed world, oversized clothing just falls to our dominant side, which is our right. If we're eating always with one side, that's our right. If we're right-handed, right? Right. Choose the right. An episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, one of our fourths, where we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things, no claim, and don't believe me, ever. Evan Strong, don't believe In The Image Clothing Company, ever. Okay, either. I am the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Don't believe anything ever in life. There's only truth. There's always only and ever truth. Otherwise, how could there be anything? You can't have an opinion on something if there wasn't first that thing there to have an opinion on. So how did it get there? We always go back, and in the beginning, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that's grammatically correct in the ways that it is. God is. He's the great I am. So we have 177 episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date. Check it out. Good insights on life that apply to everybody. You don't have to be religious. There's just this earth here and human beings here that was all designed by one God. We don't have a say. Okay. But yeah, the right side of the body, eating and drinking with the left hand. A video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Putting a lot of importance and focus on the jaw because the jaw is important, so we need to focus on it. We have to eat with both sides of our body because our teeth just naturally grind down a little bit with friction, wearing food down between them, and that's fine. But the jaw has to stay in the center of the body when it stabilizes the entire body. We talk about the jaw a lot under In The Image Clothing Company. So, anyway, we're off to the right side. We've got ropes introduced to the body, tied with a right-handed knot, twisting the hips, twisting the feet, both to the right side, potentially. That travels through the entire body, from the feet up to the tip of the head and the tips of the hands, from the hips down to the tips of the feet, and now to the tips of the fingers and to the tip of the head. Wherever it is, clothing has to sit where we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company. No opinion, no body shape like the way that you carry fat could possibly change the mechanical skeletal structure of the human body, the way that bones connect to bones through ligaments, and then muscles are just pulling bones to bones connected by tendons. It's a mechanical machine. No way to train it. If we never altered the body, it would just work. Sure. Amputations, deformities, major surgeries, birth defects, whatever it is. You're unique if you're unique. We're all unique to the degree that we are. We have to get our bodies as close as we can to this universal human design as we can in our own individual situations. So this chronic patterning gets built up. Scar tissue gets built up in the body as we're trying to work around things like oversized clothing, like imbalances in clothing, and like ropes rotating the body, eating, standing, sleeping, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration. We talk about all things that we do as a human being as well as clothing and doing them naturally, and that's what I'm showing here. And this is a great way to show this because a lot of us aren't in this type of environment all that often. But maybe we're at a countertop. Okay. Whoa! Gravity, dude. There's always still gravity. Okay? There's only one way the human body works, ever. There's no such thing as posture. It's just how would the body stay activated as a whole atop Earth's center of gravity? Well, the same way that animals do it. The same way that trees do it. God designed it to work, it just will. But we have posture problems in modern day because we're doing things in positions that our bodies don't work in. Okay? Because we have unnatural things, man-made clothing, okay? Even if it's made from natural materials, if it's made in an unnatural shape or position that doesn't work for the only way the body can just stay in its neutrals, okay? Then the body will be altered. And we get into chronic patterning, we get into scar tissue, we get problems in our bodies and pain. And a lot of this is just Earth's gravity. That's what I say. That's the truth for everybody, always, ever. That's it. Meaning that's always something we have to deal with. And that's really the biggest point, besides things that are physically placed on us, is our lives as a human being on this earth, we're just dealing with gravity. Okay? Because even things we hold, we're still dealing with gravity. Okay? Things placed on us, yeah, we're still dealing with gravity, okay? That's just such a big part to the body. And this is what I say, you know, no chiropractor, physical therapist, exercise routine, stretching, mobility, anything like this at all. No personal trainer, no sports coach can ever get your body to work by doing exercises. Because you can't train to a neutral position, first of all. And also, you're probably doing all of these things in your life within clothing, because we just about always wear clothing as human beings. And if your clothing's not staying on you centered, then actually doing any kind of like exercises to try to get your body to work. If you're doing it within clothing that doesn't allow your body to work, you're actually just building up incorrect patterning and positioning anyway and deepening the problem. So, the only approach is to ever allow the human body to work, okay? We put a lot of focus on the feet. The feet are at our foundation, lowest point in the human body on Earth's gravity. Hey, Earth's gravity. They grip arches inward, opposing the center line and keeping us vertical, straight up on Earth's gravity, okay? So, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is the only way that the human feet are shaped, okay? Those are two different titles of things we have for you to view, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It's just a video where it is. You find it many places where you find In the Image Clothing Company, our 5-word name, which is also an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But Also, the only way the feet are shaped, that's a video. There's only one way the human feet are shaped, which is just me discussing in the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique. We don't own it, we just title it that so you can find the weave of a rope that will accommodate for how the feet are shaped. Okay? Opposing the body, they have to just be opposite on both sides of the body. Okay? Yeah, you'll find it where you find it. Look up in the Image Clothing Company. There you go. The point is, there's a lot with the feet. The importance of zero drop shoes, the term, okay? Keeping the heels flat on the ground. Keeping feet in the outside of shoes. That's another video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, as well as the thing I said right before that. Okay. Keeping heels on the ground. That's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, the importance of even ankle flexion is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Always stop laces at ankle flexion. Okay, that angle of the ankle. Okay. Talk a lot about shoes. What's needed in shoes, what's necessary. These are the Zero Shoes brand Ridgeways. Okay. They're amazing. Shout out to Zero Shoes just because they're great. Okay, as I've been doing for a long time. So, here we are. On an uneven grade, we're not in a modern, man-made area here where we're at just a countertop, because that in itself is something that pulls you out of your center of gravity. With our feet gripping arches inward, then they're the same as the hands. Well, they're the same as the hands regardless, just about the exact same. One difference in the amount of bones in the hands and the feet. The operations are very similar. We talk about, quote, the height of a gripped arch, unquote, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and our arches grip inward, like I say, opposing the center line, but they do it from the outside of the foot. We need the entire outside of the foot, including the heel, on the ground to grip an arch inward to the neutral, pinky toe pointing straight forward, okay? Just like the pinky finger points straight forward, that's the neutral, and then we have rotations, internal and external from there. We have flexion, plantar and dorsiflexion from there at the neutral with the things I just discussed, the videos I referenced. There's only one way the human body could ever work. All we can do is allow it to. And so what happens is if we're over our center of gravity, our bodies are perpendicular, okay? The ground's flat underneath us. Where I'm standing, I'm actually on a little area that's flat. This in front of me here is not. This is up the side of a canyon, okay? Going up. My feet are flat. My body is vertical and earth is horizontal, okay? Perpendicular, like a right angle. You come down and you do a 90-degree turn and you go across. Down the legs, 90-degree turn, out the feet. Besides just the slight bend in the body to stay activated in our musculature throughout the whole body. Okay. So, this is how your body would just stand in life. This is how I stand in life. Practicing what I preach, but really preaching what I have practiced, and that's how I know these things. As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, my body just works well. Never has worked quite this well until now. And there's times in my life where it just did not work well at all. Okay? Mechanically. Now, vertical on Earth's gravity, we're good. But you have a countertop. Now you take your arms that weigh something, you put them out in front. Whoa! That's what I did in this video already. To show that, right? You put your arms out here, and your arms have weight to them. So now your center of gravity goes from straight down from the shoulder out to the fingers, just down the sides to the heels of our feet, really, is where this is back here. And yeah, because it follows just straight down from your shoulder, which sits behind your head, down, and then down your lower leg to the heel of the foot. And we've got the head up here, in front of most of the body, and that's kind of over our feet so that we can really grip arches, and our balance point is just over our feet, nice and centered. Okay? In life, if we reach in front of us, now the weight moves forward. And our center of gravity shifts from straight above our feet to in front of our feet. And so now, when the feet grip arches in and back, right, being behind yourself is kind of how it feels. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because your shoulders connect behind your head and your pelvis really tucks to get neutral. You kind of feel like you're behind yourself. Looking down opposes bad posture, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. Seen with context, right? That's really the case. It's kind of like we're almost behind our own bodies because of the way that feet grip arches. And the toes are different lengths. The pinky toes are the shortest on the outsides of the feet, and they come up and in, sort of like an arrow to the center line of the body, to those longest big toes. Okay? And so when they grip, we're pulling back from the toe to the heel, but also just the length of toes is different, and so we pull in as well. So that's just how the feet support the body. Okay? Only with the body over the feet. And so anything we do in life outside of our center of gravity, we have to accommodate. Now, how am I going to have my arms out here and accommodate when my feet are only as long as my feet are? I can reach my arms forward because they're hinging at the shoulder. But I can't do this with my feet. My feet are only as long as they are in these beautiful Ridgeway boots by Zero Shoes. I can't get my feet to go farther forward like I can reach my arms forward to support me. So what's going to happen? If my center of gravity comes forward, well, how do I not just fall over? The feet turn out, external. Because what's really happening is the arches have to collapse. Because we have to just accommodate, oh my gosh. I think it's going to be like a pretty quick video, like some kind of silly, very informative, but like in a silly, good, lighthearted way. Just explain it fairly quickly. And no, I mean, maybe we'll see what I can do with this to make it not a very, very long video to discuss the anatomy, because what has to happen is we have to snake front to back, okay? The ankles bend backward. The knees bend forward. The hips bend backward. The lower back bends forward. The mid back bends backward. The upper spine is the neck, or you could even call it the upper back if we're just talking about the back as being the spine, bends forward. Because we just have to accommodate. If my hands here are showing where gravity's pulling down on me, here, I'd have to have my feet pointing out, just because that's how it works mechanically. When you bend your knee, what happens is you're changing the length of the musculature, and things like the calf on the rear of the lower leg, they connect from the knee back here behind the knee joint down to the heel of the foot on the Achilles tendon. Okay, the importance of even Achilles tendon insertions, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. And that right one specifically, a deep discussion on the right Achilles tendon, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. In the right-handed world, it's right-handed patterning, scar tissue. Right Achilles tendon. It happens, okay? Man. If we're not vertical from the knee down to the foot, then leaning forward and bending the ankles excessively and the knees excessively and then the lower back and up, we're not going to just stand with our bodies bent like this. That's a lot of strain. We're just into ranges of motion, okay? Quite a bit. And our body just wants to be very slightly in ranges of motion to keep the muscles working while being vertical and not fully locked out where we just fall over because we don't have stabilization, okay? From the slight bend in everything to allow the muscles to just slightly be into their full range of motion, okay? But if we have to accommodate for gravity, and we'll have to do that by bending things to just change where our body's positioned over Earth's straight up and down gravity pull, now our feet will go out. And when our feet go out, our legs will straighten. So now we'll be more like this in life. Because if we can't have just a slight bend to keep everything gripped and activated, then once we have to try to accommodate for gravity shifting forward on its pull down on our bodies, this bend is now us pulling on muscles, okay? Like the calf. Muscles only contract. The human body only pulls. The feet arches, as they grip the ground from toes to heel and pull back and in, okay? The calf also is pulling at the same time. And so we can be very activated if we're only slightly bent. But only slightly bent will not allow you to stabilize if you're reaching out in front of your body, because your arms can reach out a lot farther than your feet can. Okay? And so really what would happen, if you had weight in your hands and you reached out in front, you'd go like this. I don't know if you can see my heels, but let's say your feet just stayed in the same position. You just lean up on your toes and just tip over, unless you bend. But now, muscles will tighten up in the body because they're in a deeper bend than they just naturally be, just enough to stabilize and be activated, right? Because there's two sides to things, okay? Activation, activation, or activation, activation, okay? This is how the body works. Opposition in all things. There's opposing muscles in the body. In the gospel of Jesus Christ, we talk about there being opposition in all things, okay? There's only light because there's dark. There's only warm because there's cold. There's only the bending of the elbow because there's the straightening of the elbow. And there's only the ability to reach out in front of us and fall over forward because we have to stabilize ourselves from behind, okay? There's a center to gravity. Staying over center of gravity, keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. I'm pretty sure that's how we titled this, all right? However it's titled, that's how it's titled, is however it is. But that's the thing, is our feet are only so long. That's really what it comes down to. And the length of the toes and the feet are different. And they can only grip an arch by coming in to a neutral. The human body can only ever work in its neutrals because there's positions outside of that, okay? So, this is the whole thing about just staying over Earth's center of gravity, right? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. There you go, yeah. Okay? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. I love that titling so much, the way that's phrased. Because, yeah, in everything we do in life, and I'll show things here. That's why I'm out here specifically. Well, I'm just out here because of all the reasons I am, but that, this is a great place to show really what can happen mechanically and how we have to stay directly over our feet, okay? I'll show that right now. Imagine hiking this and you couldn't use your hands. If I'm trying to climb up this and I'm really here now and I'm not over my center of gravity, but I step forward too far, my body now is being pulled on because there's only certain ranges to motion in the body. This is, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing video. There's only ranges of motion, right? And if you just go too deeply in one end of a range of motion, the other end's being really pulled on. My lower back here is tight. My quads are going to be tight, my hip flexors. And so now my abdominal muscles are pulled on, and my hamstring muscles are pulled on, just because there's opposing muscles. Okay? That's how functions happen, like the pelvis tucking. That's what I'm showing. Posteriorly tucking, so we're vertical. Anterior with the pelvis, meaning it coming forward, bends everything in the body. And now, this is where our feet have to stick out to try to keep us straight up, just because it's hinges. It's just the body's only a mechanical machine. There's only one way it could ever work. And we can't step farther outside of ourselves than our bodies can manage. Because my center of gravity is back here. So to get up here, I have to stay vertical with my feet directly under me. Okay? Because if I were to just step too far outside of me and just try to push, whoa! All of a sudden I do like a backflip and go this way behind me. Because it's just a lever and hinge system. My center of gravity is back here, but I've stepped too far out frontward of my body. Like standing with my arms too far out in front of my body. The elbows stay at the natural waist. That's why I referenced it, keeping elbows at the natural waist. That's how we live life as human beings, okay? Shoot, I love this. So, imagine hiking up this, but you couldn't use your hands. What would you have to do? You'd have to stay almost behind yourself for those arches to grip. And so if I hike up this with no hands, I have to take smaller steps, truly. And you look at animals and they take smaller steps. This is why I talk about how running's damaging to the body. It just truly is. A lot of it's just to do with gravity. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Running. I mean, truly, running is just damaging to the body. It's a lot of impact, but a lot of it is you're just reaching so far outside of yourself, and your center of gravity remains here, and you're just swinging your legs forward and back and your arms like this, way outside your center of gravity. It'd be like hiking like this. Now, where do you go? Gravity's over here, pulling down on my center weight. My leg only weighs a little bit out here, and I'm trying to push up from there. I'll actually push back from here because the body is just a hinge system and levers and rotations. Whoa! But I can get up this by pulling. The human body only pulls, though. Pulling my hamstrings together, well, really the rear of my knee joint to my pelvis, from the hamstring muscle on the rear of the upper leg, but only if the foot can grip. Pull. 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 It's just awkward to do that with my hands like that, because my hands, oh, there you go, need to balance me over my center of gravity. So I'm just going to move around a lot right here properly. Not because I have an opinion on it, but staying over the Earth's center of gravity, right? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. I just hit my head on this tree here. But see how I can be very agile and athletic if I'm vertical. But a lot of it looks like these like small little steps when in life we're used to people kind of like doing this kind of thing, you know? More like big steps, more like running big strides. You're reaching so far out of your body's center of gravity, the body only pulls. Muscles only contract. There's only a neutral to everything in the human body. So, tabletops. You've altered your center of gravity forward. Your feet will stick out, and now you're like this. Do you see my shoulders drop? Just mechanically, because how things connect, they just have to. Or bones hit into each other, and muscles just can't stay active. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. There's no opinion to there only being one way the human body could ever work. Okay, clothing, the only thing physically placed on us. I'm more drained and worn out because of the, well, I mean, that was a lot of movement, but it's like, the reason I can't get through my words well, I'm not all that winded, like I can speak just fine. See, I mean, if I really get centered about it, I just really get humbled because this is just the truth, you know? You can never train the human body. A lot of it's just about Earth's gravity. And you have to stay over Earth's gravity. But that can only come from internal rotation, because that's just how the leg dangles. It's straight from that pinky toe forward. And you see so many people in modern day with their feet sticking out. And now you can't really even get up something because the feet grip and arch inward. And now you can just stay over your center of gravity and hike. And look at my body, the way that it's like inside of itself, vertical, the whole thing's active. We don't see this that often in modern day, 2025, because so much of what we're doing in our lives just changes our body's center of gravity. And a lot of it's just that internal rotation. We're doing things in life out here. So the feet are out because the big toes are the longest. Our feet gripping arches in comes from the outside of the foot. The pinky toe is the shortest. Okay, we talk about involving the pinky finger in our daily lives, and the pinky toe is the same thing. Okay, it's the shortest one, and so we have to be intentional to not do things that are too big for ourselves. And this is scriptural too, you know, it says in the Holy Bible, I mean, God himself, he just says, don't try to run faster than you can, jump higher than you can. We have to rely on God, and God designed the human body and the earth with its center of gravity. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and we have to mesh that with Earth's gravity's pull. We just have to stay above our own center of gravity. Put things in your pockets, let's say. You're not going to stand like this now with the weight pulling your hips forward from the front where the weight in your pockets are. And so to get more vertical, you point your feet out. But the feet grip inward from the outside of those pinky toes. It's kind of like you're behind yourself. And then you just stay stacked, vertical, and you can go through life, and you can operate, and you have motion, and you can move your body, okay? Because it's designed to do so, but only in the ways that God designed it to do so. We have no say, okay? So, yeah, I mean, the thing with not hiking with your hands is, yeah, you can lean forward, and you can use your hands by all means, but you still have to keep the rest of your lower body neutral. Because my pinky toes will still point forward if I reach forward and use my hands and go up this on all four limbs, on both hands and both feet like this. Look at me still pulled in, gripping with my hand, where grip strength really comes from, a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, gripping with my feet. Look at the angle positioning of my feet. I'll keep them pointing in the same direction, but just pivot facing the camera. They're forward, out the pinky toes, gripping in to my own body, rather than out like this. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and as you watch me move, it's almost like I'm just picking up a foot and setting it down, like straight up and down just about, because mechanically that's just how the hinges will work over Earth's gravity, and we just have to, not reach outside of ourselves. There's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled "It's Not Outside of Yourself." You're in here. You have to be, because Earth's gravity pulls you from in here, in the root of you, front to back, left to right. You have to stay centered, physically. No opinion or belief or approach to have. You're on Earth. It's the truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're all human beings placed on the same earth, designed by one God, right? That's what I've been saying when I talk about how we discuss what we do under In The Image Clothing Company podcast, right? You can't do things bigger for you than you can do. And so, in our lives when we're holding things, we have to stay over Earth's gravity, and so the top seams of our shoulders have to sit behind the peak of our shoulders, because our clothing is just placed on us, pulling down on the top of our shoulders with Earth's gravity. And there's only one neutral, and it's straight down to the fingertips from the shoulder capsule. The natural scapula position. A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. The scapulas are the big bones on our upper back, and since these upper trapezius muscles connect from our shoulder to behind the rear of our head, okay, and along our spine, our shoulders just only ever work behind the head. And so you reach out in front, and you take your shoulder in front of your head, when the musculature that's just pulling two endpoints straight up and down together connects behind the head. Like I was saying earlier, the arms hang down at the sides, basically just right above the lower legs coming down to the heels of our feet. Neutral. Here. Okay? Bones only track in line. If you're out here, things just aren't tracking in line because you're just too far forward from Earth's center of gravity, okay? So here, tops, our top shoulder seams just need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. That's just the top bone of the shoulder, which is the end of the collarbone, okay? Because again, the collarbone, just meaning it's Earth's gravity. The collarbone connects from the peak of the shoulder into the sternum in the center of the front of the body. When our shoulders move front to back, it's just that collarbone moving. Okay? You bring your shoulders in front, gravity's pulling down on you here, your rib cage has to expand and contract all the way around 360 degrees to breathe normally. Breath is the essence of human life. It's the thing we can go the least amount of time with. There's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled Oxygen. I discussed it in ways there, okay? But our rib cage expanding and contracting means that this collarbone in the front that determines the position of the shoulders front to back on Earth's gravity, okay? And the scapula on the rear, which these bones are on both sides of the body, okay? This big bone on the upper back is called the scapula. One on each side of the upper back, just like there's one collarbone on each side of the top of the chest here, okay? Those scapulas back there determine the shoulder's positioning front to back on Earth's gravity by wrapping around our rib cage. This collarbone's essentially wrapping around the rib cage, kind of. It's either coming forward off of the rib cage, okay, or sitting neutral, or it goes too far back and it's kind of like up and behind the front ribs, okay? If it's not in its neutral, the rib cage is here, connecting from the sternum around to the spine. We have these ribs, bones that actually move. They bend and expand, okay? They move. The whole lungs are expanding and contracting inside the ribs. The ribs are moving. The collarbone clears the ribs in the front. The scapula clears the ribs in the rear. If we're too far in front and we don't keep our elbows at our natural waist, the collarbone sticks forward too far, the scapula has to round up and around the rib cage. Now, our rib cage can't expand because as it tries to, it's hitting into the scapula that's more against the rib cage. The collarbone from the front, the scapula from the rear, kind of like encapsulate the top of the rib cage, okay? And sit neutral, up and down, okay? So if we're too far forward, our scapulas will just close off the rear expansion of the rib cage, and then our feet will have to stick out because we can't stand with our knees bent this much. We'll just get very, very fatigued, okay? Stick the feet out. Now when you straighten the knees, you're more vertical, but now you've got so much pain in your lower back. Tight and pulled on hamstrings, okay? And the problems that people experience in life. Now, let's talk about waistbands because, you know, your pant waistband falls lower in the front. It's just pulling your pelvis lower in the front. Anteriorly rotating, okay, the pelvis. The whole hips is what the pelvis is. Now, in this position, again, there's that bend. We just can't stand in this deep of a bend. It's a lot to do with the body, you know? I mean, just imagine it. Imagine, we'll just say this bend is like halfway. Imagine standing like this all day. You're just closer to a whole halfway 90-degree bend in the knees than you are a normal amount of bend when your pelvis rotates. So either you have to stick your feet out so that when you straighten your legs, they'll come inward, which is very not natural, and it binds up a lot in the body. But then you can be vertical, or if your pelvis falls farther in the front, lower from, you know, waistbands of pants, because anything that's going into anything that would cause this to happen, it's the whole waistband of the pants. It'll just fall forward in the front, lower, and you bend your knees because of it. Because just mechanically, you're just changing the activation of muscles. There's just opposing muscles that kind of cross in the hips. The quads cross up and back to the lower back. And the abs, or abdominal muscles here, cross down and back to the hamstrings just because there's opposing muscles to functions in the body. And so we just need to be vertical on Earth's gravity. So clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. You know, I'd say the exact same thing if I didn't have a clothing company. It's just the case. It's just the truth. And so you can tell how I got humbled once I explained it in a way that it needs to be explained for this video. You know, this video has deepened my understanding as well, just explaining it throughout this, you know. So anyway, you go up to a table or something that's got something down the front, like, you know, drawers or just like a countertop, but there's not room underneath it to where your legs can stay slightly bent and you can just come up to the top of the counter. But if the top of the counter comes to your waist area, like up to you is what I mean, and then drops straight down, you can't hit your knees into it, and so you have to straighten your knees out to get to the counter, but now you're just pulling on muscles, okay? You straighten your knees out, you actually pull on your abdominal muscles and your hamstrings just because there's a counter here, and you have to get close enough to it to get onto the counter, and so you have to straighten your knees. But now you'll, like I'm saying, either fall forward onto the countertop, tabletop, whatever it is, because Earth's gravity will just pull you there, because your musculature isn't doing its job to keep you vertical, because your knees have to be slightly bent in order for that to happen, but there's that lower part of the table or counter just in the way of your knees. So those are the two options. You either fall onto the counter or you stick your feet out. Now you're more vertical, kind of, but like you've collapsed the arches in your feet because they grip inward. You've excessively straightened your knees just to try to like get the motion from somewhere because your feet aren't doing it. You've really swayed your lower back, right? Your lumbar spine, the lowest part of your back, really rounds like forward. And now you're, able to clear the front part of the countertop or table with your knees because they can straighten, but only because your feet arches collapsed and your pelvis rotated anteriorly, and that drops your shoulders and externally rotates your upper body following what your feet did. And so now, sure, you can reach out here, and now, sure, you can go running with your feet sticking out. That's scary. That's scary, man. What I mean by that is that's what happens. People roll their ankles or break their ankles or blow their knee out because their foot arch doesn't grip when the feet stick out, because we're trying to reach too far outside of ourselves. The big toe's the longest, but the pinky toe, which is the shortest, is what causes an arch to grip straight above Earth's gravity. When I say I know what I'm talking about, I just know that this is not the approach that most anybody takes to trying to get the body to do anything, but it's because you can never get the body to do anything. You can only allow it to work. And it just will. God designed it to. Designed to Work is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but you've got to stay vertical. There was no tables until there were tables. Okay? There was no chair heights until there were chair heights. I mean, here I can just squat straight down over Earth's center of gravity. My whole body stays centered over Earth's gravity because it's still directly over my feet, all the way to my body. But if I were to sit in a chair height, can you see this rock in the camera? Yeah, I'll use this one instead. If I were, because this is a good position. That's what I mean, right? One size fits the really tall guy is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I've just talked about how chairs are damaging to the body since the very founding of In the Image Clothing Company. We have to stay over Earth's center of gravity. If you sit back here in a chair, well, you can't. Really? I mean, how could you? Your feet are designed to support your body. Now they're clear out there, like 2 feet distance, in front of your center of gravity back here. But you squat and you stay completely vertical over Earth's center of gravity. Chair heights are damaging to the body. There's no opinion. It's not just for like athletes or trying to be all egoic, like I never sit down, I'm so tough and strong, I don't sit in chairs. But I don't sit in chairs. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, you'll basically never catch me sitting in a chair. You know, times and places for everything, but you can't keep your body active. Your feet, gripping arches, are clear out there. When you're sitting in a chair, your weight's clear back here. So your feet just, see, I mean, I can't even balance very well like that. I mean, I can balance all day, locked over my body's center of gravity. I don't want to exaggerate it or like make a joke out of it, but I could go up this whole mountainside on one foot. I just don't want to make some kind of claim like, you know, I know what I'm talking about if I don't. I'm in this for life, man. It's just crazy because no workout could ever help you. It's physically impossible to train to a neutral. And I mean, that's the same thing as saying it's physically impossible to train to a center of gravity. There's no opinion to this. Okay, which is crazy because we're just trying to bite off more than we can chew. We're trying to have too many possessions we put in our pockets, and it just puts weight forward and changes our body. Okay? Or just causes a gap at the hips and changes the position of the hips, and then bends us out of our vertical center of gravity. Same position happens. It's just a mechanical machine with only one way it could ever work. The human body, okay? You're just trying to step bigger and farther than you can go. The reason why running is damaging to the body in this way is because, like what I'm saying, out here, look how deep I am into my range of motion. Even if this was flat and I'm not stepping up, let's say, just the distance, I have to bend my knee and my whole body. I mean, it takes my lower back with it. It takes my pelvis with it when I go out there, because I have to physically reach to do a running stride. And Earth still pulls straight down. But walking is right above you. So running is like taking too big of hiking strides and really just putting force on your body outside of its center of gravity. And then walking is just vertical, like I'm hiking naturally stacked over my body's center of gravity. And for context, it just rained a lot. Got a lot of mud on the bottom of my boots, so I'm slipping quite a bit, especially on this rock here. Okay. I just want to show the visuals. I want to make it as real as it is. I want to make it so obvious that it lines up with what I say, right? Well, just that alone, but meaning when I say it's as real as it gets. It's as obvious as it is once you see it. Clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. We're a physical thing placed on this physical earth with a physical universal law God put in place called gravity. So, shoulder seams, they got to be pulling down where our body's center of gravity is. Okay? Pant waistlines, they have to be pulling down on our bodies where our body's center of gravity is. And we don't think about this all that often. Some people never do. Your clothing is just being pulled down on all the time with gravity. My pant cuffs are pulling on my hips always. My shirt tail is pulling on my shoulders always, except, you know, I've got a fanny pack here that's holding up some of the weight, but you can see. You see what I mean? We've always got whatever's placed on us physically. Anything that is clothing the human body is clothing the human body. But it's clothing, right? This is In the Image Clothing Company. We talk about how glasses affect body mechanics. We talk about just the anatomy of the human body by itself. We talk about doing things in our daily lives and sleeping in ways where, you know, man, you know, a lot of it's about gravity. A lot of it's just anything we ever place on our bodies. And then just the body itself. I mean, we just have to stay over our center of gravity. When you picture driving a vehicle, look at me here, vertically stacked over Earth's center of gravity. Now I'm sitting in a vehicle, steering wheel, right here with my hands, out here, gravity's now pulling me forward. It just wants to bend your knees whenever you're in front of your own center of gravity, because that's the angle your knees bend. Like I'm saying, the ankles bend backward, the hips bend backward, the knees bend forward though. And so in order to not let your knees bend forward, you just have to stick your feet out. That's what I'm showing. But then as you do, your arch collapses. Okay? In your feet. Just to try to straighten your knees. So here's the thing. And then that's only external rotation, which is half of your body's rotation from the neutral, internal, neutral, external. I'm on the side of a hill, so it's not quite normally how it would look, right? But internal from the neutral, external from the neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work, dude. Or cis, I mean, whoever it is, right? Just anybody, that's what I'm saying. Like, sitting in a car, your arm's out here on the steering wheel, gravity's pulling down on your arms, your body's back here. The neutral straight down from the shoulder, vertically on Earth's gravity to the fingertips. But your fingertips are out in front of your body. But then you're sitting down like this, with your feet operating a gas pedal, an accelerator, the throttle, right? And the brake pedal, and the clutch, or whatever it is that you're driving. You're over here, as if my left leg's not here at all, right? But I'd be sitting in a chair instead. That's what I mean. Your center of gravity is spread out from your back, the very rear of your shoulder blade back here, to the tip of your toe clear out there. When Earth has a pole that's straight down, which would be somewhere right around in here, give or take, when I'm in this position, like close to my hip from my knee. Clear back here is where Earth's center of gravity pulls. And so this is the thing, you can't train the body, you can't train your core and then go do things in life out here. Wait. You went and trained your core to shorten these muscles that only happens vertical because these muscles shortening tucks the pelvis underneath us on Earth's gravity. And now after you've just sat there and shortened the muscles over and over again, you just go in your life and elongate the muscles. Why? Well, because we don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. It's not like you're, intentionally hurting your body in most all cases, but that's all you're doing is hurting your body. Anytime you ever try to train the human being, it's physically, mechanically impossible to train the human body. There's no possible way to train to a center of gravity, to a center, to internal rotation versus external rotation. There's no possible way to train a full range of motion. You bend your arm all the way, you can't go any farther. You hit your hand on your shoulder. And your elbow bones, the upper arm bone, the humerus, and the radius and ulna, the two bones in the forearm that allow rotations, the importance of even forearm rotations, a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, they'll just hit together in the elbow joint. You can't stretch any farther. Where would you go? You physically can't. It's physically impossible. Now you go the other end and just fully straighten your elbow. Well, where are you going to stretch to? It's physically impossible. It's truly physically impossible to ever train the human body or get it to work. But I'm spitting a little bit. We have to reside in our neutrals. I mean, I could just show the entire body again and again and again and again and again. In every single video that I ever made, it's always the same thing. You've got so many people giving so many pieces of information. How to hike in this way. How to train for some big hike. Do a lot of these things so that you can spend the rest of your time until the hike, after you've done that training in this weird position your body doesn't work in, on Earth's gravity, and then go try to hike. doing what you trained over here. You're still on gravity. There's still a neutral. It's a mechanical machine. I'm not upset. I don't need to cover myself, but I'm just, if you don't know me at all, right? If you don't know In the Image Clothing Company at all, me, Evan Strong, as the founder, I'm not like all worked up and like pointing fingers and yelling at people. It's just absurd. It's dumbfounding. It's crazy. It's so much money spent, so much pain in the body, so much damage and chronic building up of just incorrect workings for decades or lifetimes. And it's so much false information being taught by physical therapists, for example, you know, like they don't know what they don't know either. I mean, we just don't know if we don't know, but we would all know. That's the point. If we didn't have this modern man-made stuff, things placed on our bodies that just don't sit on our bodies the only way they work, countertops and tabletops that don't exist in nature. There's always only ever nature. All the man-made things just decompose back to nature. You'd never be in this position in life that you'd be at, like on a countertop doing something, sitting at a table eating. What is this? I mean, it's terrible. I didn't know any of this either. That's what I mean. I don't want to sound accusatious. I was doing all the same things that are damaging people's bodies before I founded In the Image Clothing Company. Like right around that time, you know, I started to learn all this. And the way that I did is just by getting closer to God. There's only truth in life. And this is absurd. That's why I'm yelling, is like, this is crazy. I mean, I look at people now when I you know, just am in life, and it's like, how are we not aware as just like a general society what we're doing to ourselves? There's no opinion, no approach. It's not like, if you want to be one of these things you could choose from and it is natural, then okay. If not, choose something else. There's all these things to choose from in life. No, there's only one way the human body could ever work. Natural means neutral, okay? And that's how the body would normally just be. Neutral, normal, and natural. Natural, neutral, and normal. Normal, natural, and neutral. And all the combinations you could say. There's no opinion. Possible. I love the word impossible. Yeah. There's things that are just truly impossible. We can think all we want that, you know, anything's possible. Anything's impossible for God. But we didn't design the body, and God did. So we just have to stay vertical. I'd like to really do some movement here so you can just see my body vertical on Earth's gravity. Okay, look at the position of my spine and the tucked position of my jaw and how I'm kind of like behind myself almost. Look at how my feet come in a lot of the time. Look at how my ranges of motion stay pretty short, and I'm not really like bending so much and putting so much exertion, because I'm just using the mechanical advantage of my body's hinges properly from the toes up to the head and out to the fingertips. Notice how my chest is open and expanded, and I can breathe in 360 degrees without hitting bones into each other or having to compensate through parts of my body. Notice no matter what position I'm in, my whole body's still neutral, because that's all it could ever do. I know this could be a video that seems silly. At first, at least. But if you hear everything that I said in this, you're like, oh, he really knows what he's saying. He really can discuss this thoroughly. Oh, okay. And sometimes that's the thing, is we just have to open our minds enough to realize, even though there's so many people out there working out, talking about supplements, talking about certain diet plans, and talking about stretching, which opposes the only way muscles work. The body only pulls. Muscles only pull two endpoints together, always, in every function. I'm almost crying. Like, It's crazy. A lot of where my emotion comes from is this is my own personal body as well. Not only is this my lifelong company in the Image Clothing Company, but this is just my physical ability to move and operate for the rest of my time on this earth as well. It's the truth. Everybody's designed the same. It's a universal human design. It's just what it is. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just crazy because there's no opinion. If you don't put importance on clothing, you don't have to care in the slightest about fashion. But it's the only thing physically placed on your body. And if you don't put importance on it, you just can't use your body. I mean, it just only could work how it does. Ah, man. And so much of it's just Earth's gravity. Just accommodating for it, dealing with it, working above it, and on top of the surface of the Earth. It's just about levers and hinges. It's just about where the rotation's allowed to happen, where the joints and the capsules are open to allow that to happen. It's just a mechanical machine. There's no training. There's no working up to anything. It's impossible. Physically, legitimately, actually impossible mechanically for the body to be trained to do anything. And I'm not upset. I just am as bold as I am because that's how I can say don't believe me. Truth is truth. Let me just seem like this guy who's out here on the side of the mountain just like speaking some opinion he's got. Some new breakthrough he thinks he has. Think I'm wrong, please. And find out what the truth really is and what I'm saying is correct. It is truth. Universal, eternal, unchanging, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Designed in the image of God. The human body. That's it. It doesn't exclude anybody, man. You're paralyzed in a wheelchair, you're still on Earth's gravity. You still got to accommodate for the gravitational pull on your joints, even if your body's musculature doesn't have the ability to fire nerve endings to contract muscles. You're still having weight be pulled on the joints and they're still connected to each other. You still have to breathe or you're not alive. And that happens from a positioning. It happens from expanding and contracting lungs and individual rib bones that have space between them vertically on Earth's gravity. It's about Earth's gravity. Keeping our bodies. I don't know how it's titled exactly, man. This video is just so huge. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. There you go. I mean, the reason why these rocks are down in here, like the ones that are loose, I mean, even these here, they've come from up there. But as Earth's gravity has pulled the water down from the higher point over there down to the lower point over here, like I said, it's muddy in here. It just rained. Water was flowing through here when I walked into here. It's not flowing right now. Okay, it just soaked into the earth through Earth's gravity. And as the water comes through, it just pulls little pieces of this rock down, of this whole earth, with Earth's gravity. And then the pieces on the side just fall down in with Earth's gravity. This is the same thing that us human beings, as just a mechanical machine, are dealing with. In all senses of our lives, and we have to just stay... It takes so much out of me to say these kind of things. It's just so... It's almost silly. It's just so obvious. But I didn't know either, it's just... We have to deal with Earth's gravity, man. So that's where I'll leave this. I'll talk about, what I do throughout this. If it cuts, it was either the battery percentage, dying in the device or storage space, but storage space running out potentially is what I mean. But yeah, we've got two other sides to In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, we do the same thing for dogs. Letting dogs stay natural is the same thing as allowing the human body to work And we specialize in purebred standard poodles, but we give information that applies to all dogs on all the things that we do with the human body. We do it for our dogs, man. Based here in Utah, the state of Utah, the United States of America, we do a lot in nature. Getting people into nature and getting people back to truth. There's only truth, no opinion. And that's what we're trying to do, is get down to truth and all that we do in our lives as human beings. That's all there is. So nature does that really well. You know, nature gets us back to our authentic selves, and the dogs will love it. Poodle parade events. One of the events we do, bring your poodles. Purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size. We'll do a lot in beautiful places like this, okay? Yeah. So human being clothing and dog products, okay, collars, leashes, and harnesses, things like keeping collars centered. Again, you know, where does this stuff come from? The problems in the body. Well, what really is neck pain? A video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. It's about Earth's gravity. If our collars aren't centered and our tops are just being pulled off centered on Earth's gravity, when musculature connects to two sides of the body, I just heard an owl hoot. You might have heard that in the mic as well. That's awesome. It's daytime. Owls are nocturnal. Maybe not every owl is nocturnal. I don't know for sure, but it's cool. I love owls. Wisdom. I'm speaking wisdom. I can self-proclaim things that are just true. Do you see what I mean? I know what I'm talking about, and I'm like pointing fingers. It's because I do, and my heart's in it. You know, that's what I say. On In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, the reason why we have poodles, and we'll always do what we do with poodles, it's because my heart's in it for the dogs and my love of dogs. But we give a lot of information on interacting with our dogs as the owner to not alter our bodies. I mean, picture this, you know, you're walking your dog on a leash out here. What did we just talk about this whole video, you know? Well, at least the point of this whole video is Earth's center of gravity. That's back here with the elbows of the natural waist. You know, we talk about holding leashes naturally so that our bodies don't get altered. Interacting with dogs as the owner so that our bodies don't get altered. Listen to my voice down here trying to get down to a small dog. There's a reason we specialize in purebred standard poodles. Standard size is the large size dogs. There's a lot we do here, man, and there's a reason that each of the four sides is what they are. So, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes, giving a lot of information on proper ownership of dogs and how to, proper breeding of dogs, the importance of purebred dogs and why and what it means to register dogs, microchipping dogs, and just, right, we give a lot of information under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. And it's encapsulated with all that we are, because we will have poodles with us doing everything we do. You know, here in southern Utah. Yeah, I mean, we just do things that... There's reasons why we chose specifically purebred standard poodles to be a fourth of our company with what we do. So then we've got In The Image Clothing Company music, and a lot of what gets shown is the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the neutral wrist and the whole body, the rounding in our hands. This is a big thing, man. Where grip strength really comes from, that video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company I referenced, and the height of a gripped arch, and just, you know, how the feet work. Well, the hands and the feet are just about the exact same thing, and the nails on the tips of our fingers and the tips of our toes are what God gave us to support and back the fingers and the toes. You'll never grip an arch in the foot without nails on your toes, fully to the tips of them, fully supporting them. We cut nails relatively flat so that we can stay in the neutral. We don't roll out of the neutral position. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, the feet just can't grip an arch to keep you over your center of gravity if you don't have toenails fully supporting your toes. And then your hands will just be altered in life if you don't have fingernails fully supporting your hands. And your hand is essentially your shoulder, as the foot is essentially the hip. And so now if your hands are altered, your shoulders are, and now your shoulders don't sit neutral and come forward on Earth's gravity. We talked about the collarbone and the scapula's positioning in this video. And then the feet arches collapse. Even if you have nails on your toes to support your feet arches, your center of gravity is forward because your hands are altered. It's what I say, man. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything is there with a role to play. No compensation can possibly happen. I mean, you watch me just move back and forth. I did it like 3-4 times at least. And I said I really wanted to be able to do that, to give a good visual of just watching my body move, watching my body stay in its neutrals. There's only one way the human body could ever work. This isn't me like some egoic big muscle man that's out there training in the gym all day, looking down on people who don't have as much muscle as I do, trying to claim something. I'm just talking about mechanics. And I do it unconventionally, and I do it like I'm pouting, and then all of a sudden I'm screaming, and then I'm legitimately crying, and I'm all over the place. I get it. But I am who I am, and that's what I'm doing with this is authenticity. And what we do as In The Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, we do a lot to try to get people back to their authentic self. We live in a world where it's hard to be ourselves a lot of the time, and that's the same for everybody. That's how it's always been. That's how it'll always be. But we rely on God, and we're designed in the image of God. And you just notice it. Those people who you can tell really know what they're talking about, when it comes to, people like that, sports coaches, physical trainers, personal trainers, physical therapists, right? These type of people, when you can tell they really know how the body works and they're saying correct information, again, there's only truth. There's no who says what is correct. It's what is correct. We didn't design the body. We didn't design it. We can't decide it. An episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. God designed the body. He designed the earth, heaven and earth, and all things that in them are. All things that in them are. Just meaning everything that's here, there, anywhere. God is. Okay? He's the great I am. We don't have a say. Okay? You'll notice that people who have a really well-working body wear clothing that fits nice and snug. You'll just about never, because physically, mechanically, it just won't happen. It's impossible. Physically impossible because of Earth's gravity. Because of all the things we discuss of how the body's just what it is, under In The Image Clothing Company, you'll never see, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but just about never see somebody with a really, really well, properly working body wearing oversized clothing. It just can't happen. There's only a neutral to gravity, to the joints in motion in the body, and to the center line that is in the body, okay? I don't know how to approach this sometimes. I don't know how I sound to people, and I don't care. But I care for people to listen because your life will change. It's nothing to do with me. It's nothing I could ever take credit for. It's God's design, though. And there's only one way it'll ever happen. And so I want people to listen to what I say. Don't listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. It's apart from me. Truth is outside of all of us. It remains, and we come and go as human beings. Generation after generation, the body's always still designed the exact same. And people keep having different kinds of approaches on how to get it to work. And none of them will ever work because you cannot get it to work. You can only allow the body to work. That's why it's our slogan. I'm pouting. I get it, Think whatever you want about my approach to how I'm discussing this. Take the truth within it. Take me out of it. But, it's also fun to just, have a good time with this. It's cool to see that there's a dynamic to a human being. And no, I'm not out of control, It's like we live in such a stagnant society. People are always these cookie cutters where they are, where they are. People are sometimes just about always a robot. But they're like this, though. I'm not trying to mock it, but there's only one way the human body could ever work. It's ironic, the people who try to tell you to fit in are people who don't know what's going on usually, It's our individuality that makes us the same, you know. Oh, shoot. There's opposition in all things, otherwise nothing would exist. There's the crazies, so that there can be the people who call the people crazy. You see what I mean? Otherwise, neither one of them would exist. There's opposition in all things, man. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the truth of all things. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the place to be. Don't believe me? Deeper context brings deeper understanding. We discuss things in such depth to where there's no opinion. After you watch this video through, you could have no opinion on anything that I said here being correct. It's correct. It's not about me. I'm just speaking the truth. Imperfectly, right? We're human beings. I'm never going to be able to do anything perfect, but what I can do very well is operate physically as a human being now. And it's through what I discuss, and we're all the same. Through all of our differences, we're all the same. Let's word it like that so that we can, you know, understand, man. Anyway. Yeah. Vertical. There's no such thing as posture. You're not going to train it. Never. So when it comes to, you know, keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, it's not about what anyone could say about pulling your shoulders back. Sure, you can pull your shoulders back, but my body works how it does. There's only one way the body does, and it's neutral. My shoulders can go back, sure, but then they can come back to neutral, and then they can go forward and back to neutral. You pull your shoulders back, and it's only in one position. There's a neutral to gravity. Okay? And then you've got all positions, is what I mean. Anyway, man. You know, we've got sitting down. We've got driving a vehicle. We've got running. We've got hiking. We've got a countertop. What else do we have in life that we do often, you know? Just holding things in our hands in general. Right? I mean, just where's the weight? You just alter your body. And so, you know, we just show it how to approach life under In the Image Clothing Company. Don't believe us. Don't think we have an opinion on some way you could try it to see if it'll work. No. How do we deal with Earth's gravity? Well, you just keep things where gravity's pull is, you know. And our feet is one of the biggest points, are only so far forward out in front of us. And they're what's stabilizing us with this lever system of the ankle. And it needs to be where our body's weight is just residing between the heel of our foot and the tip of our toe. Otherwise, we don't have a foundation. That's what I mean. You know, in the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news of God is what that means. Okay? It's the same thing, worded two different ways. We talk about building our foundation on the rock of Jesus Christ. Foundations are what support everything else. The feet of our bodies are the foundation of our whole bodies. Train your pecs, your pectoral muscles, doing pushing motions, which are really a pull, which is silly, right? The human body only pulls anyway. Train your shoulders. Train your core. Train anything in your body, all you want to think you're training it. Your feet are supporting you on Earth's gravity. It's about our foundation. It's about Earth's gravity. It's about the length of your feet and not going outside of that. I haven't really quite worded it like that ever. I mean, I understand that. That's what I'm saying, but that's really all we have to say. Never step outside of your own feet. The difference between running and walking, how do you define them? Running, you have 1 foot on the ground at a time. Walking, you always have 2 feet on the ground at a time. That's not quite the case. What I mean is, running, sometimes there's no feet on the ground at a time. And then walking, there's always at least 1 foot on the ground. That's what I really mean. Okay? That's how you distinguish the difference between running and walking. And so mechanically, they're just in an extremely different function. Truly. A lot of impact in running, and the stride just has to be longer. It's just mechanics. Even if the stride's not longer front to back, the stride would have to be longer in the striding of the plantar flexion of your ankle, just to get your feet off the ground, or the hip flexion at your hip, or the bend in your knee has to be longer to have both feet be off the ground at a time in what you would call a run, than to be able to keep one foot on the ground at a time always in a walk. And it's just Earth's gravity. I just don't have opinions, bro. I want to cry. I just want to bawl my eyes out because I don't have an opinion that I'm trying to share here or that I want people to care about. I'm speaking the truth, man. That it is clothing. I mean, regardless, it's like, sure, yeah, this guy understands the anatomy of the human body. Why is he trying to convince us that he knows what he's talking about? Because it's about fabric. It's about man-made material designs. Those are the reasons our bodies don't work. I'm not trying to convince people I know how the body works. I don't need to convince anybody, well, of anything at all, but you already understand that. I just discuss it thoroughly. But the reason I'm discussing it and correlating it with InTheImageClothingCompany as the last two words, a clothing company, is truly, it's the only thing physically honest. It seems light, it seems small, it seems like you can do whatever you want in your life and not have to focus on your clothing, and you'll just focus on the anatomy of the body. Your body's what your clothing's placed on, though. I mean, it's clothing, man. You don't gotta buy. You don't have to ever purchase In The Image Clothing Company clothing. I'm not just making a sales pitch through this, and I'm so like worked up because I want people to spend money on our products. I don't care. Truly, I don't care about money at all. It's helpful to have in ways in this world. Sure, this man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. The man-made world always changes. The earth doesn't ever change. Not really. I mean, right, when it comes down to it, it's still always just the earth. It changes, but only in certain ways. It just meaning there's no sales pitch for me to try to like convince somebody that your clothing is really what's causing the problems. It's just that it's hard to believe if you don't get it. And a lot of people wouldn't do something like In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification. A millimeter, maybe a millimeter and a half of a snip in the fabric of their collar or their top with a pair of scissors. Why would I do that? People say. That's so tiny. That's not going to do anything for my whole body. You're telling me my right foot can grip an arch better and I can stay more vertical on my body, on Earth's gravity, if I put a little tiny snip in the collar of my top when there's a collar seam there? Yes, I am telling you that. And so that's what I'm saying is a lot of this has to come with context. Like, who's this kid that's just standing in this canyon, you know, just kind of yelling? What's he trying to convince us of? You know, it's, there's a lot of context that comes with what we do because I've been in this for over a year as of today's date, and I'm in this for life, and we just do so much that it doesn't really make sense. So a lot of times, if you don't know, you know, why are they called a clothing company? That's a lot of what I'm yelling about is like, I'm just giving context, man. And it's sort of like I'm just like spouting so much at once a lot of the time that it just comes out like a yell. And also, I get excited and grateful that I'm able to put things into words the way that I am, and so that I get excited and passionate. And my yelling isn't anger; it's passion, you know. And it's like, yeah, all of a sudden it's a crime of passion, though, right? He's screaming at me too much. Oh, shoot, man. You know, it's a dynamic to a human being. That dynamic is on, watch this, all sides of who you are at the center. See what I mean? This is real. This is what we really do. As silly as it could seem in times, and as all over the place as I am in times, I know that I am. But that's the thing is I am who I am. And there's a lot of messages in what we do because, I mean, it'd be great to just allow the body to work, but as we do it, we give a lot of insights on life through it. This video alone. That's what I mean. That's what I've done here. That's what I'm doing right now is explaining how this is not just about the anatomy of the body, but emotional stuff as well, spiritual stuff as well, you know, a well-rounded life, do everything clothing, do everything dog products. We breed our poodles to be do everything dogs, you know, just very capable dogs. A lot of that's just the breed and its size in general of a purebred standard poodle, but there's just a lot to life, you know, and a lot of the times I can seem very over the top, but I love that. I'd rather say too much than not enough. Yeah, you know, if there was something that I could have said that could have helped. So I love this, and I love this. I love Utah specifically. I mean, that's what this hat says. I bought this hat. Yeah. I just love things that say Utah on them, and you know, we keep branding out of our stuff in most all cases, other people's brands. We do so much under the gift of video and always will, as in the Image Clothing Company, but Utah, you know, just the state of Utah here, we live up Utah, as I word it, you know, in the Image Clothing Company does. And so I love stuff that says Utah on it. I love to give context on what it really is here, what I really love about it. This is just natural. Well, what you can see in this video, unless you see any kind of like trash from a man-made thing, this is entirely just how it would be if human beings weren't here. This is God's earth here that you're seeing in this frame. And I'm just standing on it over Earth's center of gravity. Okay. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. I just love soaking this up. I mean, I walked up here. I love these boots, and I love to keep my stuff nice and clean. But also I pray through it, and I'm like, Father, I can't be like all petty about this, you know. These are boots. They're meant to be worn. These are waterproof. Again, the Zero Shoes Ridgeway model. And I walked over here, and I'm just like tromping through this southern Utah red mud dirt stuff. It's so slippery, and the water's flowing down this ravine, you know, canyon here, and I was just soaking it up, the experience in the moment, just having a good time, because, you know, kind of humbling myself, like, I love my boots, I want to keep them nice, but they're meant to be worn. It's just, I mean, we can have a moment in everything we do, if you will. Even this video, you don't have to care about anything I'm saying in this at all. You don't have to watch this at all, but if you want to hear what I have to say for the sake of what I am saying, not for me, but for what I am saying, and if you want to watch my journey as the person who's going through this, you know, Your Life as a Journal is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We just document, we date mark things under In the Image Clothing Company. We just do things to show, well, we were here on this earth. We got people being born every day and dying every day. I mean, so many people do that every single day. But if we can document what we did as individuals anytime ever, then everybody else who's here has the opportunity to know a different life than their own, you know, and what did that person do? What kind of lifestyle did they live? Oh, there's actually differences to human beings? I thought we were all the same. Oh, we are. That's what makes us the same, is because we're different. This is In the Image Clothing Company, man. I could sit there and read from a book. I could just post articles somewhere with written documentation of the anatomy of the body and diagrams of the structural system and how it operates. Or I could do this and almost make like a show out of it. Like a show to watch. That's what I mean. You know, it's like something like, hang out with us, have a good time, stick around, check the poodles out. We'll breed the poodles and we'll film it. The puppies will be cute, right? And you can see it. And then the events like this, I mean, a lot of people don't even get to see this kind of stuff if it's not for video. That's me personally. You know, I've watched a lot of videos from just other parts of the earth that I certainly will never visit, but I love to be able to see it because somebody else has gone there and filmed it. There's so much we do through In the Image Clothing Company, and it just is what it is, man. And I'm not some mean guy who's yelling when I'm yelling. I just yell sometimes. I'm just loud. I'm loud and I'm passionate. I speak quick and I'm very straight to the point, and I just, you know, yeah, I get it, you know. I can seem intimidating. And don't be intimidated by me. I'm just a kid. 26 years old, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm always just a kid. Still a kid, and always, you know? You can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you humble yourself and be like a little child. Am I throwing a tantrum out here? What, you know? There's only one way the human body could ever work. I love it. Am I against myself or what? Our own worst enemies. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Okay. There's not an S on the end of it, though, for the title. Our own worst enemy. And even that, me correcting myself, you know, it's like, I just want to show the dynamic of all of this, where we can be on every side of anything in a matter of any amount of time. Man, I love it, man. There's a lot of beautiful places on the earth, but I personally, and I'm saying this for context out of me being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? You don't have to really care, not even care so much, but you don't have to care at all about me if you don't want. Other than, you know, try to be treating people how you want to be treated, you know, but I love Utah so much. I love the desert here, and I just feel so home here. I've got a lot to do with this. As in, going forth, I have a lot that I will do with, but really through, In the Image Clothing Company. I've got a lot to give, man. A lot of insights, a lot of understandings that I have, a lot of experience on life. Stuff that benefits you, you know? It's not about me, but a lot of what I can do in this life is benefit other human beings. Big time. I know it. I'm very smart, very understanding. I dive into things and I work with words. I explain things very thoroughly and very well. And I love that, you know. I love preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and so let's do it. 177. That's how many episodes we're into it so far. In the Image Clothing Company podcast, that's where we do that, you know. But then we do it here and there and everywhere and all places, and when needed, use words, you know. But just in all ways, just be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Meaning just be somebody who's trying to serve the creator of this place, because he created this place for you. And then he created you and put you on it. You know? Again, no opinion. How'd you get here? Because you're not going to be here if you can't have fresh air to breathe. And so, you know, doing a lot of things for the environment and stuff to keep the earth healthy, it's not an approach. It's like having the body be natural. It's not an approach. The only way the body is going to work is if it's naturally able to. The only way we'll have oxygen to breathe is if the plants can naturally grow that make oxygen for us to breathe. We really do a lot through this, man. It's not a clothing company necessarily. We could never sell clothing at all and do the exact same thing that we've done up until today's date. Over a year into this as of now, because we have not sold a single item of clothing as of today's date, as in the Image Clothing Company. That's not what it's about. Not really. We'll have good products, and they'll be good, otherwise we wouldn't have them. Yeah. Man. All right. Yeah. I'm just getting humbled by this, man. I knew at the very start that this would always be huge, but I didn't know where it was going to go exactly. And now I do. To the degree that I do, but then, you know, things just keep building as they do that I don't know about yet. But just realizing how I'm able to explain all this kind of stuff that needs to be understood, because we're all human beings. We're all standing. We're all at countertops or tabletops when we are. We're all either sitting down on something, even if that's just the ground, or squatting, right? And we're all having arms that have to hang at our sides. We're all wearing clothing if and where we do. I mean, just how dumbfounding and awesome it is to be able to put all this into words and explain it to people. That's the point. That's why I'm here doing this. because we need to understand this. There's no like care to care. You have to. You're either a human being or you're not. And because you're a human being, you have to work the way a human being works, physically, mechanically, or you don't work. You didn't design yourself, you know? But I really, really, really do deeply understand how to get down to it. Again, just me saying this to whoever's on the other end of this video, the reason I'm saying it to you is, or who, you know, through In The Image Clothing Company is for that reason, because this whole company is just based on truth. Yeah. All right. So it's the I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, we live in such a world where people just have so many opinions. How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? How are you going to get posture and stand vertical? You're not going to get it. You're going to allow it. If you're intentional and know how to. We give the information on how to. Yeah, man. It's so just peaceful in here. Apart from my yelling voice, I get that, but it's it's so nice in here, man. You know what's also really cool is, yes, I had this typed in my notes as a video to film at some point. Okay, keeping the body over Earth's gravity, but I had it titled slightly different, and when I walked over here, I didn't think this was the video I was gonna make. And so this is what I mean, you know, it's just cool. Life is just so cool. I just this is what we mean, you know, it's like all that we have is a thank you or a hallelujah to give God. We can't actually give God anything but like this experience that you're watching me go through right now of gratitude. Like, man, thank you. This is ridiculous. Just all that I'm experiencing right now, you know, it's such a gift, man. So I'm going to talk about where clothing sits in this, unless it cuts. Like I said, you know, it's not me. I'm not going to cut the end off this. If it cuts and you can tell that it wasn't intentionally me doing it, then there you go. Okay, it wasn't me. Storage space potentially filling up, just because these things have happened quite a bit up until today's date under, you know, what I've made for In The Image Clothing Company, or, you know, if the battery in the device that's filming dies. But yeah, I'll talk about it, you know, as I do. I'll get through it if I get through it. Things outside of my control is what I mean, you know. But clothing has to sit in the same location for everybody. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being, okay? Dude or sis, like I said earlier, right? Anybody. Pants have to be entirely above the hips, at what's called our natural waist. Above the hip bones, but below the lowest ribs. That's just where we bend side to side at the spine. That's where my pants and my fanny pack that you can see throughout this video are sitting. You probably couldn't really quite see my pant waistline, but there you go, okay? And the fanny pack strap you can very clearly see. That's the natural waist. The tops, I don't know how clearly you can see it now. It's, you know, it's getting dimmer out here, light-wise, but tops that we have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders just only ever mechanically work behind our head, like I was showing, okay? The edge seams of our tops need to be as close as we can get to the edge of our shoulder because it's a shoulder joint. It's a joint of 3 bones, essentially. The collarbone, the scapula, and the humerus. Okay, there you go. 2 things we have as prerequisites are, like I said, in the Image Clothing Company shoelacing technique and removing all tags from clothing. We have to keep all stretch that we possibly can out of clothing, but we talk about things like sleeve cuffs, short sleeves, pant cuffs, what's required in shoes, a lot of little things in clothing, just discrepancies, pockets on one side versus not the other, weights on the front versus not the rear of clothing, and just, you know, all the things we do, modifications in zippers and buttons, and I mean, we just talk about so much, man. So when I talk about where clothing sits, that's just our very baseline discussion on the angles, truly, what I'm saying there is the angles the clothing needs to be in because of Earth's gravity. Okay, pant waistline angles slightly higher in the front than the rear. I didn't say that in this, but that's what I say, right? When I say that, it's like the fanny pack. The weight's on the rear, it tucks the pelvis, vertical, neutral on Earth's gravity. Because here you can still tuck even more posterior, but it's neutral. Vertical on Earth's gravity. Okay, posteriorly tucked. Abdominal muscles pulling up in the front, hamstring muscles pulling down in the rear. Tucking the pelvis. It's clothing. That's why I'm so passionate, correlating it with clothing. I mean, that's where it comes from, dude. That's where it comes from, staying vertical on Earth's gravity. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. That's where it comes from, is what's placed on you. Because otherwise, it just would happen. All right, I'm gonna just cut it. Like I said, it's the 16th of, man, I feel like I'm, like in an outfit, bro. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I love it so much. It's the 16th of November, 2025. Listen to my bag. I don't know if it's gonna pop again. You might have heard it though. Yeah, my name is Evan Strong. I'm in this for life, and yeah, whatever you think of me, cool. You got a problem with us though? Stick around. That's what I say. Yeah, I mean, you can't question if what we're saying is correct, because I discuss it so deeply, and our team will always be great. The poodles will always be so cool, man. The breed of a poodle is just so awesome. Their personalities and temperaments are almost always just wonderful. Dogs are individual in the ways they are, but breed to breed, it's pretty uniform to a degree. We'll always pick amazing people to be on the Image Clothing Company's team. We'll do so much in nature, and, shoot, change lives. Truly, not just partially, not just for a time, not conditionally, but truly. Never be the same as an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And once we get out of these chronic patternings and all the scar tissue that gets built up caused by just what we discuss, clothing and just lifestyle choices, the right-handed world, things under In the Image Clothing Company that we really, 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 really deeply get into the discussions of and the explanations of, our lives could never possibly be the same again. Physically, mechanically, again, that word, it would be physically impossible for our lives to be the same, for our bodies to be damaged quite the same way, unless we went through the amount of time and the amount of things that it took to get us into those patternings in the beginning, and that takes years. Okay, months at least, right? But sometimes it's literally decades or almost an entire lifetime. When we just break up scar tissue, we rid the patterning of, the muscles adhering to bones in ways where things just aren't allowed to track in line for X amount of time. And then there you go. I mean, there's deep stuff to it. Bone spurs get built up in the body, chronic shortening of muscles, chronic stretching of skin. But these things are reversible. They truly are. And as I've said, my body is the visual transformation that you can see through the gift of video. And I'm the physical example, going before and then just preaching what I have practiced. You don't have to believe it, but you can watch it happen. And then, everybody who does what we do is the same thing. We'll have a lot of testimonials be able to be had from people to explain and show and share with people that you don't have to believe this, but you couldn't deny it. It's clothing. You don't have to care about fashion. It's not about fashion, right? It's about the human body. The only thing that we have, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Everything else comes and goes where it does, but the only thing we're promised in this life is our physical bodies. That's really what makes us be able to have this physical life. And then what's physically placed on them is clothing. This stance right here, my center of gravity is over my feet, right? My lower back's not getting tight or tense or sore. My hands are still in their neutrals. My ankles are still neutral. My feet are still gripped. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. My pelvis is still neutral. I'm hanging on Earth's center of gravity, keeping our bodies over Earth's center of gravity. I don't know what that sound was, but that's what this video's title is. My sinuses are a little bit like draining up into my skull in this position. That is happening, but you know, it'll just flow downhill with Earth's gravity. I mean, right? It's just what it is, dude. This is one of those things where I want to stay in this as long as I am. As long as I should stay in this. It's crazy. It's emotional in such a good way to make these videos. I know how it's, you know, I know how it is because I'm the one doing it. And I watch the videos back before I post them, you know, but I want to sit and absorb it, you know. I don't want to just be trying to make it something. I just want to do it as it comes out. It's raining too. And it didn't start raining until right around when I squatted down like this. I've missed this, man. I used to spend so much time in the mountains as a kid, and as a teenager. I used to just, you know. It's been a weird couple years for me, man. I used to do a lot of things that I haven't done for quite some time. I pretty much haven't been out here like this for quite some time. I pretty much just haven't been able to have an experience quite like this video and like this little 2-week span that I'm down here in St. George, Utah. You know, when I've been living up in Utah County. I'm gonna move down here. We'll set up base camp for life, man. We'll have our building down here. We'll have the team down here and the poodles, and we'll have our events down here. Our videos will be able to be filmed in these locations easier because we're just closer to them, and we'll just be in these locations as in the Image Clothing Company's team more often because we'll just be here, you know. There's a lot of beautiful stuff throughout the whole state, but it just stays pretty well warm all year round in southern Utah here. And up northern Utah, we just get like true snowy winters, you know, and this doesn't mesh with my lifestyle. It never has. And so I kind of just like wait out the winter until the summer comes, or at least, you know, the warmer time of the spring and then through the fall. That's just how it is every year for me. And I've got so much that I can do through the winter months if I can do it because the weather allows for it. So I'm going to move down here, and I'm just not at that point yet, as of like today's date is what I mean. And so this 2-week span where I've been able to come down here, I'm just soaking it up because, I mean, who knows, you know, you die tomorrow and then what? You know, you're going to regret cutting the video early because you wanted to make it seem like something rather than having it be just what it is right now. Do you see what I mean? You can just watch my arms swing when I relax. They're vertical on Earth's gravity. That's the only way you'll get a full elbow extension, is with Earth's gravity just pulling down on your hands directly beneath your shoulder.